Klein and Caspers greeted her, with Caspers calling her Sharon. And I was like, Sharon? That crazy witch? What are you doing here, Loca? Aren't you supposed to be dead? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Art and Recap. I'm your artist Faye, and today we are reading chapter 276 till 280 of Lord of the Mysteries. In the previous chapter, Klein got the information about the Pound family thanks to Audrey, and today he decided to pay the Baronet a visit. The man, the Baronet was standing by the window in his pajamas and staring diagonally across the street where the Civilhouse yard is at, like the police station. He's a man in his early 40s, but the sides of his hair have already turned white. He stank absolutely of alcohol as he stumbled away from his window and to his bedroom with only the red moonlight there to guide him. He collapsed into his bed, but suddenly froze when he noticed a figure completely hidden in the shadows, sitting quietly on a chair beside the curtains. The mysterious figure raised his head to show the visage of a funny clown. Rafter Pound was about to shout until he saw a revolver aimed at him. And you know what? When the guy was being described with the clown paint on his face, I was wondering if it was actually Klein or some other clown. Because after all, there are other clowns in this story. Remember that guy from the first book, the suited clown? I thought maybe he's part of that same organization, Could be possible. And they're also after Rafter Pound for some goddamn reason. Who knows? It's a mystery that Klein is going to solve, right? Here's the thing. The moment he pointed a revolver at the Rafter, I was like, yep, that's definitely Klein Moretti right there. He's as trigger happy as always. Klein told Rafter that he shouldn't do anything stupid and that if he cooperates, he won't steal or kill him, right? Totally normal thing for him to say. Rafter obediently closed his bedroom door and sat on the edge of the bed and asked what Klein wanted from him. Especially since Civilhouse yard was just right across the street. Like, come on, the police is right over there and you're pointing a gun at me. Like, what the hell, right? Klein was like, yeah, I know the police is right around the corner, but I'm closer to you than they are. So, who's gonna be first? The police or my gunshot, right? Klein then tells him that he's here to ask a few questions. Rafter was exasperated when he heard that. He was like, great, here we go again. Klein asked him if many people have been hounding him with questions, and Rafter said that it wasn't just questions, man. His life had been a living hell ever since the old Viscount died. The butler resigned for no goddamn reason, and several servants vanished one after another without warning after they've all been replaced. Those servants, then, they kept instigating him to do bad things when he wasn't even 10 years old. And you know what? This sounds like something the psychology alchemist will do. I'm betting that they are involved somehow. Klein thinks that those servants were definitely looking for the underground structure and that they might have even been planted by the churches or the royal family, and I was like, what? Well, okay, I feel like the psychology alchemists, they're like from all over the place, so it's possible that they're also like part of the royal family or the churches, I feel like. Because mental health is really important to the Beyonders, right? So I reckon that some of the churches definitely employ some of those people, right? The psychiatrist pathways, those people. Klein asked how long this has been going on, and Rafter said he doesn't know. He pretends not to know anything and played along as they dragged him to a dark path of addiction. Those servants are no longer watching over him, by the way, and he was relieved by that, but he's still paranoid that they're secretly monitoring him, so he can't relax even then. Klein asked him what those people were after, and he said that it was questions regarding the two heirs that died from illness. The guy got really upset, and Klein stopped the questioning there and then because he thinks that Rafter really didn't know anything at all. He's just a poor man that got dragged into the shenanigans of Beyonders. The text, however, is hinting at the fact that Rafter isn't exactly as crazy as he seems, because when Klein bowed down to say goodbye, Rafter's eyes cleared up and he examined Klein. But that expression vanished once Klein stood up straight again. Klein still threw a slumber charm and put the man to sleep. I thought that once this was done and the guy was sleeping, Klein would, rush away and escape. But nah, Klein actually entered the man's dream to check if what he's saying is true, because you can trust the guy or any guys here in Lord of the Mysteries. You have to double check if what they're saying is true, because a bunch of them are liars. Let's be honest here. Klein is also a filthy liar. He lies all the time because it's part of his acting, and he's a transmigrator. He has to lie about stuff that he knows that he shouldn't know, right? So that could be the case with this guy too. So, Klein realized something when he entered the man's mind. He realized that Rafter Pound, that guy, has some serious psychological trauma, and that made guiding his dream very difficult. He couldn't get any information through dream divination, so he left Rafter's mind and cast another slumber charm. He started preparations for the spirit mediumship ritual and asked Rafter what the old Viscount said before he died. Rafter replied and said that the old Viscount wanted him to maintain the family. Klein asked what else, and Rafter said that he wanted him to remember the glory of their ancestors. Klein then asked what those people who acted like his servants were looking for, to which Rafter replied with, "I don't know." After the questioning, Klein cleaned up and left once more. Once Klein was gone, Rafter suddenly opened his eyes and stared at the windows. See, he's not crazy. He is well planned. I have a feeling he might be part of the psychology alchemist. Just a feeling. Klein went back home after that visit and entered the Grey Fog world. He had in his hands several strands of Rafter's hair and is gonna use it to divine Rafter's future. What he saw through his divination was an irregular cave. Rafter Pound was crawling around like a reptile to leave the hole, and I'm like, brother, ew. Then he retrieved a black iron emblem and wore it on his chest. The imagery on the emblem was that of a hand holding onto a scepter. It was the same emblem that Miss Bodyguard said belonged to the Tudor family, so it could only be assumed that Rafter is actually part of that bloodline. When Klein was interrogating him, Rafter didn't hint at anything suspicious at all. He was acting all accordingly, and if Klein didn't double check in the Grey Fog world, he might have believed that Rafter was actually just a regular schmegular guy who got dragged into the world of Beyonders. But now, so sus. Klein also thinks that it's possible Rafter didn't know about any of this because it has yet to happen, and he didn't know his connection to the Tudors at all, and I call bullshit. Klein thinks that the whole Pound family might be a branch of the Tudor family that changed their surname to escape pursuit because, again, there was war. They were they war criminals? Are the Tudors war criminal technically? I don't know. They were searching for the secrets that were left behind by their ancestors in Backland and found the secret basement. But during the exploration, they didn't factor in the evil fucking spirit guarding the place. The spirit didn't recognize them as descendants and just killed them, It's possible that the sons of the old Viscount died in that basement, and it was their Beyonder characteristics and mystical items that were lying around in the room that he couldn't enter with Miss Bodyguard because the evil spirit was there lingering and just, chilling and hanging out. All those deaths in the Pound family made the current royal household, and the church sussed them out. So when the old Viscount passed away, they slowly replaced the servants and guided Rafter Pound to his own downfall. Rafter let them believe he's insane so they can leave him alone. Anyway, the plan was clear to Klein. To prevent more people into going under the basement and getting themselves killed, he decided to blow up the place, Easy solution, right? But here's the thing, he only wants to blow up the entrance because, again, he was hired by this guy to check out the basement, and the basement turns out to be associated with Beyonder shenanigans with all those god statues and stuff, right? And also he doesn't want his client to become homeless and get upset at the fact that his basement collapsed and his whole house is in shambles. So Klein was like, I hope to God that Casper's actually doesn't just sell guns and ammo, but explosives too, and also that he knows an expert that can safely destroy the entrance, cause he didn't want to anger his employer again. Klein didn't want to dig deeper into the Rafters issues, cause he literally is like, not my business, And oh my dearest Klein, you just jinxed yourself. You know that, right? On Friday morning, Klein pretended to be a busy man, but really he's just hanging out at Quillag Club and enjoying his free time. He was about to leave around tea time when Mary Gale, the lady undergoing a divorce because her husband was cheating on her, entered the club with an entourage of people. One of them was Talim and the other is reporter Mike. Mike greeted him jovially and Klein asked how his investigation was going. Mike said that it's done thanks to him, and Mike gestured at the group he came with and wanted to introduce Klein to them, but Klein and Mary already knew each other, right? They had a little chat before Klein left them to network with the politicians there that was, hanging around the club. Klein has absolutely no interest in getting involved in politics, at least not until he became a faceless, of course. Anyway, we changed POVs and we are now in William's shoes. William is the guy that Shio hired to look for Lanivus, by the way. He entered his small apartment and was surprised to find a tall shadow standing by the window. And guys, what is it with all these people, these shadowy people standing by the window? First it was Klein and now this guy? Come on. The hooded man asked him who ordered him to look for Lanivus. Williams really didn't want to catch any strays, so he said that a bounty hunter friend of his asked him to keep an eye out for the swindler. The guy, the mysterious guy, asked why the sudden interest in Lanivus, and Williams said that he didn't really know. He's just here to get some info and keep an eye out for Lanivus. The man asked who the bounty hunter was, and he answered honestly and said that it was Sio Derecha and that he didn't know where she lives, so please don't ask him about that. William was about to heave a sigh of relief because he thought that he was getting spared when the man walked towards the door. But then the man snapped his fingers and suddenly Williams was split into pieces. The gas pipe spewed out gas. The moment the man left, the candle on Williams' desk lit up and the whole room exploded. This poor guy was just doing his job and he got dragged into Beyonder shenanigans. I swear, I feel so bad for this guy because again, he was just minding his own business. He just came back from drinking alcohol to rest in his tiny ass apartment that he may or may not be sharing with other people. And then there's this one dude, this shadowy figure, mysterious tall man, just suddenly appeared and now he's dead. At Braveheart's bar, Klein was sipping on a glass of Southfield beer as he walked over to Casper's who was playing a round of billiards. Before Klein could even so much as give the man a smile, Casper stopped what he was doing and said, "Marek isn't here and there's no gatherings at the moment and I have nothing but weapons to sell." Klein was like, "Man, this guy is pretty familiar with what I want. It's like I'm a regular but I gotta tell him I'm not actually here for Marek." Also, this low-key reminded me of the time I went to a coffee shop so often that they remembered my order because, I always went there at around afternoon so that I can stay awake at work. So one day when I entered, they were like, "the regular," and my mind short-circuited and I was just like, "No, I actually want something different today." Like, why did I do that? And yeah, afterwards I just didn't go there for like a whole month or two because I felt like super awkward. Like, I don't know why I was just like, yeah, I don't like people telling me what to do, so give me something different. Like, why did I do that? I didn't even want that order that I got that day. Like, ugh, fate, the fuck? Like, has that ever happened to any of you guys? Anyway, Klein said that he's actually here to buy weapons, cause Marek and Miss Bodyguard are props in hiding, which is a pity cause Klein wanted to hire Marek's zombies to act as his working buddies to trick Millet Carter, the dude with the saucy basement that he was hired to check out. Caspers asked Klein what kind of weapon he's looking to buy, and Klein said that he wants to buy some explosives that's widely used in mines. Caspers was a bit alarmed at that request and asked Klein what the fuck he wants with explosives and that he's not gonna sell him any if he's planning to do anything stupid. After all, he didn't want to get in trouble with the civil house yard. Klein told him to chill. He's not gonna do anything illegal. He just needs to help someone with the renovation of a building, and that involved some explosives. Also, if possible, does Caspers also know a demolition expert? Caspers was like, "Dude, the fuck? Since when are you a construction worker? Aren't you a detective? Why can't that guy you're helping hire a proper construction company anyway?" Klein laughed and said that it's because they're gonna blow up a secret chamber and that his client doesn't want the officials to be involved. Caspers didn't find any fault in that because, again, he is illegally selling arms, right? And was about to answer when a voice echoed in the room. Miss Bodyguard manifested as she said, "There's no need." Klein and Caspers greeted her, with Caspers calling her Sharon. And I was like, "Sharon? That crazy witch? What are you doing here, Loca? Aren't you supposed to be dead?" But then again, that would explain why she's a spirit, right? But then it wouldn't explain why Klein isn't guarded around her at all, because he knows what Sharon, that witch girl from the first book, looked like. You know, the one who killed Kenley. Um, and likewise, Sharon knows what Klein looks like, but it could be possible that Sharon can change her appearance as a spirit, and she recognized Klein, which is why she didn't want him to know her name at the very beginning. Also, is this like a typo? There's like two R's on her name. Also, didn't Klein divine information out of her in like the Grey Fog world? Like, how is this possible? I'm very confused right now. Anyway, Klein asked if he can also get Marek's help to hire his zombies, and Sharon agreed to that. And Klein was like, "Great, now all we need is a demolition expert." And Sharon's like, "I am one." So anyway, everything was sorted out and Klein gets to blow something up. Yay! Caspers left the two alone to chat because Klein indicated that he wanted to speak with Miss Sharon about some Beyonder business. Once Caspers left, he told her everything he knew about the Baronet Pound and that he visited him and thinks that the man is hiding something. The reason he wants explosives is because he's afraid that someone might enter the basement and accidentally release the spirit in there. And then he asked how much he'd owe Sharon for this, and Sharon told him that it's for free. Klein was shocked because, in his heart of hearts, free things are the ones that cost the most. I'm looking at you, all the free gacha games right now, and also all the free games with loot boxes. I'm saying this as someone who plays mostly gacha games, by the way. Sharon told him that once the entrance collapsed, she'll be the only one who'd be able to enter in and out freely, meaning that she'd take all the loot in that room once she's confident enough that she can beat the evil spirit. But joke's on her, Klein can also turn into a spirit, so it'll be a race against time and who can be stronger faster to defeat the evil spirit in the future. I think that Klein will win since he does have protagonist plot armor. The only other person who can enter would be those who are in the apprentice pathway. I can never pronounce apprentice properly. I don't know why. But they don't know about that basement anyway, so they're safe. Klein and Sharon shook hands and scheduled a meeting. On a Saturday morning, Sia was riding a public carriage to visit one of her informants when she suddenly got an urge to buy a newspaper. She listened to her intuition and bought one from a paperboy next to her, and she saw an article on the third page that made her freeze. It was about a gas explosion on the Ravi Street. The guy was most likely dead. She also realized that he was most likely killed actually, because she knew the guy. He was someone who likes to pinch pennies so that he can buy more alcohol. He would never waste his money to use on the gas in his house. She figured that he's probably dead because of her commission, and she swore to avenge his death. Meanwhile, Klein and Miss Bodyguard met up outside the Millet Carter's house. Klein was surrounded by three zombies who were disguised as workers. Millet asked if these are the snake-repelling experts Klein hired, and Klein nods, and then they went about to do his job to supervise the snake-repelling experts. In the underground structure, Sharon was busying herself by placing down the explosives while Klein watched back with the three zombies. "She looks very pro," Klein said to the zombies who didn't respond. He wonders if she used to work in construction before she became a Beyonder, or if her pathway somehow has a passive that gives her skills when it comes to explosives. Just like how Klein has enhanced agility and acting skills thanks to the clown potion, you know? But for the life of him, he can't figure out which pathway she's from. Sharon passed by him while he was musing about her, and she lit up the fuse on her way too. Klein was like, "Sis, seriously? Why didn't you warn me?" Of course, he was only thinking that. He was actually busy running out of the hallway and to the corridor outside to actually tell it to Sharon. I was about to say Miss Bodyguard, but we know her name now, right? So, the zombies followed along in a calm manner as Sharon told him that it's safe at the corridor, he can calm down. The following explosion covered the whole place in dust and debris, and Klein coughed as he moved away and checked via Mr. Asik's copper whistle if the ghost got disturbed or freed, the evil spirit. He let out a sigh of relief when he felt the whistle stay as cold as usual, and then checked to see if the entrance was truly blocked. He told the three zombies that their job is done, and then he met up with Millet Carter, who was pacing back and forth nervously. The man asked him what the fuck happened because he felt the tremor, and Klein explained that the structure was way too old and it collapsed. It's totally not his fault, by the way. It's not like he's the one who placed the dynamite or TNT or whatever in the underground and lit it up, right? He just said to Miss Bodyguard that he needs this room to be gone, right? It's not his fault, technically speaking. Millet Carter asked if there will be any more destruction, and Klein said that he shouldn't worry. The area where his house is built is totally sturdy. Trust him. The man thanks him and ends the commission here and pays Klein the rest of his reward. Klein and the three zombies left the house and walked in different directions. Sharon was also gone, and as she said before, the whole thing was for free because she didn't even ask for the payment about the zombies, right? I mean, to be honest here, the zombies didn't really do much. All they did was stand around and look alive. Klein went to the Quelaag Club to practice his shooting skills before heading back home. While walking along the streets, Klein had a premonition, and in my mind, he looked off into space like that's a raven. In this premonition, Klein saw two policemen with a dog investigating the streets, and Klein wonders if it's cause of the serial killer on the loose. Klein decided to take a detour, but when he was about to turn around, one of the officers saw him and gestured for him to come over. Klein obliged because again, police and he needs to lay low, so they said that it was a routine inspection. And he had to stay still as the dog growled at him because it smelled the gunpowder on his clothes. The officers looked at him in alarm, and Klein had to spin a lie about how he found the revolver with an underarm holster and bullets and was on his way to hand them back over to the police. Like he was on his way to hit the police station. Like, sure, Jan. The revolver happens to have an underarm holster too. Right, okay. And he legit said with a serious smile to the officers, "Officers, I really am not bearing a gun illegally. Like, okay, sure, Jan." The police told him that he has to come back to the police station with them, and Klein told them that sure, he'll go, but first they need to inform his lawyer Jurgen Cooper about this and that he'll only accept a body search with him around. The next chapter starts off with a different POV. We follow a guy named Zion who was taking a piss on the wall, and I was like, who the fuck is Zion? Because I legit have no recollection of this guy ever getting mentioned until now. So I was like, has this guy actually been introduced to us before and I'm just forgetting because his name is Zion? I mean, Zion is such a unique name to be honest, but it's nothing compared to the other names in Lord of the Mysteries. Anyway, someone patted him on the shoulder and he puts back his pants on as he turns around to see a short boy with a canvas jacket and cap on. This boy has a delicate face and Zion was like, "Shio, what the fuck? Why are you dressed like that?" Shio gestured for him to stay quiet, then asked him if he knew people who died in the past 2 days that's linked with Williams. Zion said that Gavin was found drowned in the Tusok River in the morning. Shio asked if Gavin accepted William's request to keep an eye out for Lanivus, and Zion said that he did, and then he said that Gavin is in charge of the dock near East Balam Dock. Gavin was apparently showing a portrait of Lanivus to people around, and Shio thinks that Gavin might have died without even knowing anything. Shio decided to inform this problem to Audrey first before she does anything else. On the other hand, Klein was chilling in prison again while he waited for his lawyer to arrive. He was thinking about how he can get away with all the mystical items on him once the police starts their body search when he was called over and let go, and also I think this is even the reason why Klein called Jurgen to be present so that he has enough time to figure out how he's gonna hide all this shit that is on him, like the powders, the herbs, whatever, candles probably also. Like you know all the mystical items Klein carries on him, right? The ones that he needs for rituals. So yeah, he was trying to figure out how to hide those items. Anyways, again, he was called over but then just let go. The police didn't really do a body search on him, and all Klein had to do was sign a piece of paper. Klein was surprised at this, and Jurgen explained that it was cause Klein is a known detective, and Klein was like, huh? What kind of reasoning is that, dude? And I gotta agree with Klein. That sounds hella corrupt. Like you can just be a super famous person or super famous detective and tell them, hey, I'm actually, super famous and part of the Quilla Club. That gentleman's club. There's absolutely no way I'm a piece of shit, so you guys can just free me, right? I'll pay. Like, isn't that super corrupt? Anyway, on their way back to Minsk Street, Klein thanks Jurgen, and Jurgen told him that it's no props, it's his job after all, and then asked Klein for £2 payment. Klein gave him the money, and Jurgen offered to enter a formal partnership with him so he can bail Klein out whenever he gets arrested by the police, and he'll only pay Jurgen £1 instead of two. Klein was like, bro, why are you jinxing me right now? Do you want me to get arrested that often? Jurgen explains that private detectives get themselves in a lot of trouble pretty often because they tend to carry illegal weapons and have a tendency to trespass other people's homes. Kind of like what Klein did a lot. Klein just got his weapon confiscated, right? Klein was truly lucky this time because he was at the Quilla Club earlier, and that name alone managed to convince the police to trust what Klein said. And again, sounds hella corrupt because it's not like Mary's ex-husband wasn't a participant or a member of Quilla Club, right? And that guy is an absolute asshole because he was cheating on her with this woman at Quilla Club, and I'm pretty sure everybody knew and just didn't tell her. Like, come on, you think that he's being subtle at all? Bringing a mistress with him? Like, I'm pretty sure everybody knew he was married to Mary, but again, nobody mentioned anything, right? Like, if you think about it, Jurgen is also part of the Quilla Club, and he's also friends with Mary, right? And also there was this guy Talim and whoever else that, remember another guy that recommended Klein to the Quilla Club thanks to Mary. And I'm pretty sure that Mary is friends with them, but they still didn't mention that her husband was cheating on her, because I'm pretty sure that guy has been taking his mistress with him to the Quilla Club often enough, right? Unless, of course, he has to keep certain that these people that Mary knew, that they don't know that he goes there all that often. But that still makes no sense, right? Because again, Quilla Club is pretty, infamous, and Mary is also part of that club, I think, or at least she goes there pretty often enough, or that she knows certain members that can again recommend Klein to join the club just because she asked them to. So, sus. That poor woman has been getting cheated on and nobody told her. That's so... It pisses me off, Loki. Anyway, Klein finally understood that Jurgen wasn't trying to curse him and agreed to the partnership. Jurgen says that he hopes he won't see Klein at the police station that often, and I'm like, well, now you're really jinxing him, brother. Klein was about to relax with a hot bath when he heard prayers from Audrey. He quickly got up, dried himself, and got himself dressed before he went to the grey fog to listen to her prayer. Loki, this made me wonder if he can't just manifest clothes for himself in the fog anyway, because, you can just maybe stay in the bathtub and swoosh, get... Oh, but then he needs to do the rituals. I forgot, like the stepping rituals, so never mind. He can't just relax in the bathtub and put his mind to the grey fog. Never mind. Audrey tells him that there was a problem with the Lanivus investigation, and she tells him what's been going on. Klein thinks that killing those people was way too extreme and doesn't fit Lanivus as a swindler at all. It will catch way too much attention, and if he's still sound of mind and hasn't gone crazy thanks to the true creator, that will be the farthest thing Lanivus would want. So Klein divined clues about the explosion on the Ravi street. His divination hinted that there are clues at the crime scene itself, and that it could mean the murderer is still watching that place to finish off the person who hired the investigation of Lanivus. Klein decided he'll visit the crime scene in disguise and even use Rosago's eye to check if there are invisible people around. He then divined if the trip was going to be dangerous and was answered with, yeah, kinda. And Klein's like, well, that's not too bad. So off I go. So Klein dons on his disguise and looks at the mirror with his fake ass beard on and said, Captain, this is the first step to avenging us. And then he smiled. And I'm like, yo, 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 are we actually gonna find Lanivus and kill that little rat already? Like, come on. Please, 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 please. I'm this guy just pisses me off. Every time I'm reminded that he's still alive and running around Backlund doing God knows what, I'm just like, oh please, hopefully he's not grooming another woman into becoming a surrogate for the demon lord baby god thing, right? Oh god. Anyway, that was Lord of the Mysteries chapter 276 till 280. Now a little bit about the artwork that I'm working on, guys. I don't know if you guys will remember, but I actually posted something similar like this before. In one of the previous videos, I showed you guys the sketches that I did for this illustration for the webcomic pages that I'm working on. But right now, the ones that I'm showing to you guys is how I shade it, basically. Here's the thing, my process is basically, I do the sketches digitally on my tablet, and then I draw it traditionally with paper and pen, and then I scan it, and once I finish scanning them, I transfer them digitally again to shade and put them in the right order. I do this because I really like the shading, the way the pencil scratches show up on the illustrations. Like, I can't really do that digitally for some reason. Digitally, whenever I try to draw with a scratchy pen, it just doesn't feel right to me. Okay, so I was like, you know what, fuck it, let's do it traditionally. Why not, right? So that's how this is going. That's how my webcomic is getting done, drawn. Also, it kind of helps me out, because sometimes whenever I just draw digitally the whole time, I kind of get bored with it, and I need some change whenever I work on something for a long time. This is also why I like to draw some ACEOs now and then that I eventually sell on eBay. Thank you guys to everyone who bought an ACEO, by the way. I hope you guys really like that original little artwork of mine. So yeah, next video probably I will continue the work for this, for the webcomic, because this is just like one part of it, and I have a lot of recordings of me doing the shadings and typography and yada 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 of my webcomic, because again, this is like a long-term project of mine. Anyways, before I go, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It helps my channel out a lot. My commissions are open and my Vision link is down in the description below. Check out my story Dreaming of Aurora if you have the time. And finally, thanks to my patrons Robek, Vanarik, and J. Voljevelitska for the support. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!